Hey guys, I'm John Barklow, and today I want to talk to you about some backcountry food essentials. So it's really important that we all figure out our what I call crisis nutrition plan, which is what is going to fuel us in the backcountry that's going to allow us to continue to perform. We don't want to run out of fuel prematurely. And so this is going to be a process of trial and error. Now, we're all going to get on our computers and build a spreadsheet and try to add up calories, and maybe you're going to look at your macros and micros and figure out protein percentages, and all that's good. All that's good. You should absolutely do that. What's more important is that you then take that in the field during your preseason training and make sure that it's going to work. Make sure that you're going to be able to eat that it's going to be palatable when you're starting to get run down, when you're a little bit nauseous. I would also say that when you're building out this plan, that going into the backcountry is not the time to get healthy. And what I mean by that is, if you're a user of tobacco on a daily basis, of any kind of nicotine product, do not think that you can cycle off that nicotine while you go on that hunt to kind of get healthy. Or, hey, I'm a huge caffeine user every single day. I don't want to cycle off caffeine. Now, I might cut down on my caffeine so that I don't dehydrate myself, or I might not bring as much tobacco because maybe I can't bring as much. But you want to make sure that you bring some of that. I've been with guys before that are they're really mean in the morning. I'm one of them if I don't have my caffeine. And so I know that about myself and I plan ahead. The other thing is supplements. Taking supplements, you should do that well in advance to make sure that they're going to work for you and not against you. I've seen guys that are like, you know what, I'm gonna increase my creatine when I go out in the mountains to help, but they didn't train with that. And all of a sudden they start having some really adverse effects. I've seen people with splitting migraine headaches. I saw one guy break out in hives. Actually, we needed to use an EpiPen on him because we thought that his airway was gonna close off. So it's really important to train, but at a general level, I just wanted to go through a few of the things that I like to bring and why I like to bring them. Now, at the center of my food is really a dehydrated meal. Now, this dehydrated meal, it can be a commercial brand like this. It could be something that you made at home, but most of us are gonna bring dehydrated food because that's gonna be lighter weight. Now, one thing I like to do when I bring that dehydrated food is I just like to do what's called field stripping. So I take the food out of its commercial packaging, I put it in a quality Ziploc freezer bag, and that way I can supplement this meal. I can put extra spices or dried cheese or olive oil, anything like that. That not only helps me get the meal that I want and the taste I want, but it removes a lot of weight and bulk in my pack more than anything. And then this bag becomes a trash bag for the rest of the day. Now, I like to package my food in large Ziplocs per day so that I know that I am held to just eating that amount of food for the day. And again, that's all based on my training. But I always start my day with caffeine. Like I said, I'm a huge caffeine lover. And so I always start my day with caffeine. I run my stove, I have my cup of coffee. Maybe I've got something like a food bar or some peanut butter or some nuts, something like that. I'm a big proponent of fat. That's what I like to run on when I'm out there. And so, yes, I've got everything weighed out percentage-wise, but really I'm looking at coffee and some fat and a little protein in the morning. That's what's gonna get me going. And then throughout the day, when you're sitting on that hill in the middle of the day waiting for the buck to stand up, or everything's bedded down and you're waiting for things to stand up in the afternoon, late afternoon maybe, so that you can find something to go stalk. That's when you start snacking on things. And that could be things like cashews and almonds or macadamia nuts and maybe some beef jerky or meat sticks. That's when some of the candy comes in if you want. I try to steer away from that because I tend to crash and want to sleep, and I'm trying to stay awake and be aware so I can maximize my time in the field. But at the end of the day, it's what is going to work for you. Now, the other thing that I carry is some type of energy gels or energy chews. A lot of times this will be in my possibles pouch because that's what I'm gonna put around my waist when I go on that stalk. But if not, this is something that I can, have and chew on if I'm starting to run down a little bit for that little burst of energy, or maybe I start to get some cramps later in the day if I'm doing a lot of climbing and I haven't kept up on my hydration. These are really important. And then any kind of energy or electrolyte supplement for me is really important. And what I like to do is if I drink one Nalgene with some type of electrolyte supplement, then the next Nalgene of water I drink, I try to make that just clear. We'll talk about how to process water and filter it and all that, but hydration really, to me, at the end of the day, is more important, and this is just for me, but it's more important than even my food. If I have access to water, especially if I'm at altitudes above 10,000 feet and I can continue to hydrate, then I know that I can continue to run. The survival priorities say that we have 3 weeks worth of food essentially stored on our body in the form of calories and fat. Yeah, it's not gonna be the most fun, but if I run out of water, I start to cramp, I start to lose mental cognition, and everything can spiral out of control. And so I'm really focused on my water. I like to carry a Nalgene on the hip belt of my pack, and then I carry a larger bladder like this in my pack that if I come across a water source, I can collect 4 to 6 liters of water. If you've got a water bladder in your pack with a hose, that's great in hot weather. I don't think those work so well in cold weather, but whatever it is, what's important is that you figure out your hydration and how that works with the food to give you the performance you're looking for in the backcountry. So just wanted to go over this, give you guys a little bit of insight. Go out, try some things for yourself, blow yourself up, learn from that, go back, repeat, and I think you're gonna have a much better time and a higher performance, sustained energy in the backcountry.